moonbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me.
Good morning. You are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. I am Catherine Bell, and this is the Dream Journal, a weekly show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you.
Stars fading, but I linger on, dear, still craving your kiss.
In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Today's contribution by Rick Clevel is called Pulse Fiction, another creative mix, brand fresh created for you this morning. Dream sharing highlights our interdependencies and also keeps us awake to the liminal, even in our waking state. We talked today with Olivia Shiller about her honors thesis, which she recently completed at Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon. Stay tuned for that. I am Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. The Dream Journal is also a podcast, so you can look for that on all of your regular podcast places, and also on the KSQD website. You can find us there at ksqd.org/the-dream-journal. Okay, so what is my current dream work? Well, there's something I've really been mulling over about the value of happy dreams. We're all really drawn in by those scary dream moments, and when we wake up and going, oh no, what was that? And just this sense of really being drawn by the negative. And yet we do have happy dreams, and I want to be an advocate for happy dreams. So I want to share with you one of my recent happy dreams. It's one of those dreams that's kind of subtle, and yet it's one of those, it's like a big thing too, there are these two places in the woods that I know about. This is the dream narrative, that are both beautiful places. I really like these places, and I know how to get from one, like from where I am, like maybe I'm in the city or something. I know how to get from where I am to one, and I also know how to get from where I am to the other, but I have this idea that I want to figure out how to go from these two beautiful places directly without having to go through the city. So it's interesting, is there a way that I'm kind of learning how to go from happy moment to happy moment without having to detour through sadness, without having to detour through, fluster? I hope so. One of the cool things in this dream is I have friends with me. I have these people that I'm just really excited to show these beautiful places to. So there's a real aspect of community here, as well as the sense that maybe I kind of know where the happy places are. How about that? I will take that. So I do encourage you to pay attention to your happy dreams as well, and let them in, bask in them, marinate, and just let that be a kind of gift. So today, as usual, I will be inviting call-ins during the last 20 minutes of the show, so you can get ready for that. You might want to jot down that number. It is 831-900-5773. That's 900 KSQD. You can share a dream or ask a question. Save that number now, and you can call in about 35 minutes. The number again is 831-900-5773. Or you can email me at any time at onair@ksqd.org. I will be checking email throughout the show, so you can contact me there anytime at onair@ksqd.org. Well, our guest today is Olivia Shiller. Hello, Olivia.
Hi, Catherine. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. So good to have you on the show.
Yes, it's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So Olivia Shiller has been collecting dreams for as long as she can remember. She is a recent graduate from Lewis and Clark College, where she received her BA in sociology and anthropology. Her honors thesis focused on the relationships made inside of dreams and the types of care produced through sharing them. A lover of language, a large portion of Olivia's thesis involved the creation of a dream dictionary. But unlike many online dictionaries, which provide vocabulary for experiences that follow dream logic, I'm a little garbled here, but this is not like a usual online dictionary which interprets your dreams. Instead, this dictionary provides a vocabulary for experiences that follow dream logic, or the type of sense-making that is understood in dreams, but is hard to translate retrospectively. Yeah, so Olivia was kind enough to share her thesis with me, so I was able to read through, and I really appreciate the whole dictionary concept. It is a little bit of a mind wrapper. There's so many things that happen in our dreams that we can't really even define, and you kind of create words to describe some of this dream creativity, these things that come up that are just very dreamlike.
Yes.
What inspired you to do that? You say you're a lover of words. What inspired you to look at our dreams and apply words there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I noticed that at least when I try to describe my own dreams, sometimes words tend to escape me. Like there will be certain things that happen that just kind of evade language.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that there are these. So that's what made me want to make words. But then I noticed that when I was doing research and when I'm just sharing dreams with other people in general and they're sharing them with me, there were these common experiences that kept popping up, either across people or within an individual's lifetime, I guess. And I found it interesting how I didn't know any English words for, well, I don't know any words in any language for these types of experiences per se, which doesn't mean they don't exist already. It's
right.
more that I don't know them. But
yeah.
So I decided to create words with the help of my close friends and housemates. Actually, they helped me come up with the sounds for a lot of the experiences.
Right. I wonder if you could give us some examples of some of these dream words that you've created.
Definitely. I actually have this type of poem that's more like prose, but it ends in a little bit of a poem that describes one of them.
Well, do you want to start out by reading the poem? There's no reason we need to leave our poems to the end as we often do in the show. Do you want to just start out with that poem?
Sure, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, it's inspired by Ross Gay's Book of Delight, so I was looking at dreams as something delightful. Okay, I'll read it right now. I like it when people tell me what I say in my sleep. It's something I'd forgotten I do, now having the luxury of my own room and no one to remind me of when it happens. Living in the dorms the first year of college, my bunkmate Lola, whom I had just met, would write down snippets of my invisible conversations and read them back to me in the morning. Phrases like, "Everything feels green," said with a sigh before turning over to place my opposite cheek on the pillow. Other nights I'd giggle excitedly. "Ha ha ha, oh yeah, yes, it's party time." Like the context surrounding my words, I'd forgotten this tradition until Lola and I shared a room again over spring break, and she told me I didn't talk in my sleep anymore. "You don't talk in your sleep anymore," she said matter-of-factly. I missed this part of our relationship. I liked how people around me knew things about myself that I could no longer recall, like a parent who shares memories of their child that are only known through photographs. Like dreams, the memory of the moment comes alive in and between bodies, taking on new shapes and sounds each time it's brought into a new space. You know how dreams that feel good can be labeled as bad in retrospect, because you've fallen in love with someone who doesn't exist in waking life, or who does but not in the same way, or in a way that you can't have. Time and space turn good into bad, combine love and grief. I think this must have been what I was referring to in a Facebook post I made 7 years ago today, that popped up on my news feed, which read, "I hate good dreams." I'm thinking of this because I'm part of an online group of anonymous dream enthusiasts. On the forum, someone asked, "Do you ever get attached to a dream person? A person who isn't real and only exists within that dream?" Because same. I've been having those types of dreams with little to no plot, where I just talk to someone, then I wake up and feel bad ever since I was young, and now it makes me sad. Someone comments, yeah, sometimes I do. It's weird, they do exist, but I kind of experience them nonetheless. I once dreamt of a girl. We were really close in the dream, best of friends. She got cancer, and I sometimes still think of her. I know she's not real, but then again, I hope she is doing well. It's weird. And I think there is something precious about hoping that someone is doing well in the same sentence that you acknowledge they don't exist. It implies a universe beyond belief that doesn't require belief to come into being. A place birthed of contradiction where the rules of non-contradiction do not apply. These relationships, like those that occur when sharing a bunk bed or an anonymous online forum, involve another way of being in and with time. That's less time less and more time full, where established intimacy need not a reason or known history in order to exist. It reminds me of a dream I had, of a woman who didn't speak but listened for a certain sound and would sit by anyone who made it. I don't remember her face, only that she didn't sleep, just waited in the chair beside me with her hands folded neatly in her lap. So that's the poem, and the that kind of summarizes, I guess, the general vibe of the thesis, with the two groups, one being my housemates and one being the anonymous forum, which is Reddit, a website. But the word described by one of the users where they fell in love with someone is called amoria, which is a noun, and it's an intimate relationship with a dream character who is unknown in waking life.
Right, and certainly that happens often, that I have these relationships, during my dreams with people that I have never met, and they feel very intimate, and they are very intimate. That's the thing. It's like acknowledging the reality. It's very tender, that what you shared about having a dream of somebody who had cancer, and then you wish her well, and it's like this person, just because you met her in a dream doesn't mean she's not real.
Yeah, that's a great point. We do have those same bodily reactions and connections, and a lot of times those aren't necessarily validated because they're invisible. But that's beautiful to acknowledge. And I love that you shared your happy dream at the beginning of this. That was awesome. I was reading the sentence where I was like, I hate good dreams, but I don't hate good dreams anymore. I think they're really awesome.
Well, there's some way that they're kind of controversial in an odd way. I used to skip over my happy dreams, and or I remember a happy dream I had early on when I was still in waking life, a very unhappy person. But I had this happy dream, and I was mad. I was so angry. It's like, how dare I have this happy dream when I'm really unhappy, day to day. I don't feel that in waking life, and that was I was really rebellious. I felt like, how dare the dream show me that I have this capacity for this happy feeling when I don't feel that in waking life. And yet over time, that dream was kind of a breakthrough moment when I could relax for a moment and feel into that happy dream. I recognized that I can have those happy feelings in waking life. Maybe it's around the dream, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's still a legitimate feeling. And so that kind of gave me hope that I would be able to be happy someday in waking life. And, some days it's not like you just switch thrown and all of a sudden I'm a happy person. It's there's moments of happiness, moments of agitation, but to acknowledge that this happiness is possible for me was really big for me.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's so true. I love what you said about hope, and how, what you said earlier about how that feeling is still valid because it's existing and very real, even though you're asleep. So that reality of it, and then knowing that, when you're awake, you can feel that. Again, one day, just knowing that you're capable of it because you've done it.
Right.
Yeah, just cherishing when it does happen. I really resonate with that.
Yeah. Well, there's some quote, and I have to look up the exact quote at some point, but I believe it's Eugene Gendling who talks about how the dream is or can be thought of as a pictorial representation of a feeling that we're just learning about in ourselves. Our feeling vocabulary in humans is so limited.
Yeah, I think that's actually what inspired me to kind of, another part that inspired me is these internal, like bodily, feelings basically.
Yeah.
'Cause, like pain as well, not that it has to be bad, but that's like an example of something that exists in the body that's hard to kind of show all the time.
Yeah.
And there's not a large vocabulary for that either. And I think, having things be we live in a very visually oriented culture. So,
well, and dreams are very visual. I mean, there's visuals, and then there's sound. Usually, you can hear people talking, or things are happening. But it's rare that we go into taste and touch and smell or anything like that in a dream. So there's visual. But we were talking about how the dream is a vocabulary, and here you are with one of the things your thesis does is like creating some new vocabulary. Which I think is brilliant. It's actually really helpful. Like there's, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some sense. I mean, of one of the things that I struggle with is how to put my dream into words. Like oftentimes I'll wake up and there'll be just kind of a sense. It isn't really necessarily visual. Even it can just be like a felt thing happening that there's some visuals in there somewhere, but like how to put it into words. And you share in your thesis a moment that you remember. Maybe, was it even your earliest moment when you're trying to express something? Do you want to tell about that moment?
Yeah, my memory.
Yeah, this was like a waking life memory, but you were really young at the time. Yeah.
It's it reminded me of how I feel when I try to describe dreams, because it's actually I think my first memory. Well, it's the one that whether it happened or, I'm pretty sure it happened, but whether I remember this wrong or whatever. Sure. Anyway, my first memory is I'm standing in the doorway. I can actually probably read it. Let's see. I remember standing in the hallway to the kitchen of my first childhood home. My mom is there, and I know I want to tell her something, but I don't know how to speak yet. I'm hopeful that this time when I try to talk, it's going to sound like words, because I remember like trying to speak and it just coming out as gibberish, kind of.
Right.
So I have it all planned out in my head, and I don't remember what I was thinking. I just remember thinking really hard that I was going to say it this time. But then when I went to speak it, it didn't work. It didn't translate. So that starts off the paper, that memory, and I guess my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is just such a brilliant description of what it feels like pretty much every morning that I have a dream. And like the first thing I have to do is I have to try to distill it into words, and it's often very difficult. And I'm sure I'm losing parts of the dream, and that my representation of the dream is just like it's a fraction of what's really happening for me.
Yeah.
And
there's a word for that.
Oh, yeah. Is there? I was hoping. I didn't bring. I don't have the dictionary here, but I was hoping. What is that word? There's
a word for not having the words. It's called recumber.
Recumber. Okay.
But anyway, I really feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. So putting a word to this sensation is extremely helpful. So I want to play a little piece of a song called "Strange Attraction" by The Cure, which Olivia selected. Do you have anything you want to say about this song?
This. I guess I've been into The Cure lately. I got a CD for my car, going on a road trip, but this is about like relationships, and I think of it as kind of a dream relationship. That's how I sort of interpreted the song, so that's why I picked this one.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Olivia. You are listening to K-Squid. Welcome to the Dream Journal. In about 15 minutes, I'll be opening the phone to 831-900-5773. My guest today is Olivia Shiller, and you're listening to The Squid. That's K-Squid, 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org.
Strange attraction spreads its wings. There is but the smallest thing. You never know how anything will change. Strange attraction spreads its wings. The alters but the smallest things. You never know how anything will fade.
You're listening to The Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell here on K-Squid 90.7 FM. So, welcome back. This is my guest, Olivia Shiller.
Hi.
Hi. You know, I wanted to talk for a moment about kind of what I see as like kind of the other main aspect of the thesis, and there's probably more, I'm sure there's more, but the two big things that I got out of that one was the dictionary aspect of describing words that haven't previously been defined but are common dream experiences. And the other one has to do with relationships. Maybe that's the anthropology or the sociology side of the thesis. And there is something that you talk about, which I had never really considered, in that dreams, part of the value of sharing dreams is not even about trying to understand the dream or interpret the dream in any way, but it's about the relationship that gets created when the dream is shared.
Yeah, totally.
And you go through all these different kinds of relationships, like you've already mentioned Reddit, and the kind of anonymous relationships people have there, or they're shielded in certain ways, as opposed to the more intimate relationships with the housemates and family and that sort of thing. And I wonder what are your thoughts on those different kinds of relationships and how dreams play into each one?
Yeah, definitely. So there's not like a definitive moment where I got super into dreams, I don't think, but doing this project made me more aware of how I have been collecting dreams for a long time without even consciously remembering all of the time. And I think sharing these dreams made me intimately aware of the little moments that I can sometimes take for granted or forget, and how much care is embedded in those little spaces. So like with my housemates, for example, a lot of the times we'd be sharing dreams, like the voice recordings I have will overlap with like the sound of car doors shutting or the water running, because we'll all be eating breakfast together, or we'll be on the car on the way to school. And it's these little moments where, I'm pretty familiar with my with my housemates' dreams at this point, because we've all lived together for like 4 years. So it's kind of cute that I can kind of know these common landscapes that they each enter and things like that. But it's mostly a reminder of the ways that we've gotten so close and comfortable with each other, and how we're able to share these little intimate details of our sleeping life.
They are very intimate, because the dreams will go to these really tender places, and it's amazing that we can bring up a tenderness there without getting into like the specifics. Like what is the actual waking life situation is maybe not as important as what we feel about that, and the dream tends to deal, in my perspective, about our feelings about the waking life situation more than about what to do about it. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I think a lot of times, like on Reddit too, people are looking just to be heard and validated in those experiences, and sometimes they do stem from, things that have happened in waking life that are directly correlating to events that are happening in the dream, and then other times the dream itself, like they don't know why they had it, but it's still really painful or really joyful, or invokes a strong emotion that they want to just share with people. And a lot of times people are looking for meaning and stuff. But that's another reason why I created this, not to go back to the dictionary, but a vocabulary for this, because the dictionary is great. I can go back to it as much as you like.
Oh, thanks. This vocabulary is like validating in its own way, at least for me, like to have words for something, to know that other people, that there's a name for this thing that I've experienced, can feel really empowering.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's cool, because through this project as well, like I did have these very like everyday kind of mundane exchanges of dreams, which made me just really appreciate the little moments in life, like these little moments as, oh yeah, that is this is what I care about, these people, these relationships. And it was really beautiful to just be able to dedicate time and attention to that in a way that, sometimes it's easy to forget to do when you're busy going around doing stuff.
Right.
But also,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
Also, once people learned that I was writing this paper on dreams, a lot of people came to me thinking I was like an interpreter, which I guess we're all interpreters of dreams. But I just could Google for people. That's the extent of my interpretation.
Right.
But that's why those other dictionaries come in handy. But it was cool because people did open up in a way, like these people who I kind of knew but didn't really know, and they would just like, oh my gosh, like I learned so much about their waking life and just like these cool dream experiences that they, like, some people are super into dreaming and I had no idea, and that's like a whole big part of our lives. And it felt like so cool to get to know these people even if it was just for a little moment on this other level.
Like people you've known, for a long time, but you never knew they were interested in dreams?
Yeah, there were some like that, people like close friends who I didn't know about their dream life, and then like acquaintances who I didn't know about their dream life or things about their waking life, and they opened up about both.
Well, I find it such a gift when someone is like letting me open up and share my dream, and just to sit there and let me experience my dream as I'm telling it to you. And that's like such a gift. It's really a relationship moment when I'm not here to interpret you or to analyze you or tell you to do anything differently. I just want to listen to you and be here with you. There's something about that, when we can do that with dreams. And it's interesting. I wonder if people get irritated about dream sharing sometimes because they think they're supposed to figure it out or they're supposed to solve something, but it's not about that. I love how your thesis you talk about is all about the relationship. It's about two people talking and about really tender things.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I used to be one of those people who was kind of like, and I have this like voice recording of my little brother, and it's like one of my favorite voice recordings. He's sharing this super intense dream with me like 10 years ago about like zombies or something, and it just gets like super existential all of a sudden, and he's this little kid at the time. It's like a super cute recording, but anyway, I think I remember just not knowing what to say, like as someone shares that like intense experience, and then I realized like, oh, I don't have to solve this for you. Right. I can just like listen. Like I don't really need to say too much right now, and then it does become like, about the exchange rather than this solution. Yeah,
there's even a recent study showing that dream sharing increases empathy in the listener. So that if you're holding space for somebody to share a dream, it increases empathy, and so that there is a way that we can build relationships that way without having to solve anything. And another thing that you talk about that dream sharing enhances is our liminal, and how by talking about dreams in waking life, we connect more to the liminal. And maybe could you say a little bit about what you mean by the liminal and how dream sharing does that?
Yeah, totally. So I think of liminal spaces as sort of like in-between spaces that encapsulate both like here and there, past, present, and future,
right.
Self and other, and a lot of times those binaries, as we think of them, usually as dichotomies, are collapsed, and time, space, and memory, we all have a different relationship towards those things that are different in how we structure life, at least generally in our capitalist culture. So these liminal moments we're able to, and as part of this poem, it's a little bit about that, how the liminal qualities are extended, because most dreams I would say are pretty liminal, and they do have those foundational properties.
Well, they certainly, bring into question, like, what is reality? Like, because we see, reality every day when we're awake, and we think this is this solid thing, and yet it sure feels real when we're dreaming, and and yet things are very changeable. And so there is like a question there for me about what is reality. So talk about liminal space. I mean, there's a
Yeah, totally. And it's really I think exciting for reimagining other ways of being with the world, in ways that can be more joyful and more open and vulnerable in places and ways that are safe. And I'm so intrigued with this idea of like this bodily, like cosmic time, space time. And I think that is this, like, because we all feel time like differently, even when you're awake. If you're like happy, it goes by pretty fast. But if you're feeling like a little down, or you're in math class or something, time goes really slower.
Absolutely.
And in dreams, they're quite short in clock time. They can feel like real eternity sometimes.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, and when you're sick too, people will talk about having these experiences. There's this book, The Alchemy of Illness by Kat Duff, and she talks a lot about how chronically ill body experiences time a lot differently as well. So,
Wow.
I guess it's just these internal sort of ways of being that do bring into question the ways that we've structured our daily lives, which I think is really cool and exciting. And I think that dream sharing also, like, there's this time where there can be many things that are true at once. Like the contradictions like still exist at once. There's this part of I'm recommending a lot of books right now.
Yeah, that's good.
In Life Beside Itself by Lisa Stevenson, which is an ethnography about Indigenous people in the Canadian Arctic. She talks about this girl who has a dream about her friend who is deceased, and in the dream they actually follow through on what they said they were going to do when they were still alive, but they do it in the dream. And then at one point she says something like, there's actually a word for this. Sorry, I'm getting a little confused with my book quotes, but she knows a person to be her grandma, but it's actually not her grandma in waking life. I don't know if you've had that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. When you recognize someone,
but they're not anyone you know from waking life. That happens to me quite frequently. Do you have a word for that?
I do. I'm trying to find it right now.
That happens to me frequently. It's like, oh, that's my father. Well, no, actually, it's not anything like my waking life father, but in the dream, that's clearly who it is.
Yeah, and you really feel it to be true.
Yes.
And I can't find the word right now, but I'll find it later. But and then when you wake up, it's both like your father and not your father.
Right.
So it's like two things are true at the same time.
Yeah.
And then the liminal qualities, like with language and memory, those are also extended moments of sharing in that place of vulnerability and interdependency and presence that are indicative of liminal spaces. Those were very evident in the spaces of dream sharing that I explored in the paper as well.
So, Olivia, we have an email question from Kendall, and I'm going to hold on to it and go to play this piece of music first. But when we get back, we'll have this question from Kendall from email. Thank you for sending that. And also, I'll let you know that the phones are now open. So you're welcome to dial in. The number is 831-900-5773. You can also send me an email at onair@ksqd.org. And this piece of music is called, where's my notes here? Isabella of Castile by STRFKR, and I'll just go ahead and play it. I think this is a beautiful piece. This is the Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell, and you are listening to K-Squid 90.7 FM. Our guest today is Olivia Shiller. So you're listening to the Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell, and this is KSQD Santa Cruz. My guest today is Olivia Shiller. So Olivia, I have a question. Oh yeah, let me just say before I read the question, is the phones are now open, and thanks to Eric Nelson for stepping in to do the phones. The number is 831-900-5773, or you can send me an email at onair@ksqd.org. 831-900-5773. So here's Kendall's question. I wonder if Olivia could talk more about the care aspect of their thesis. What does care mean in this context? What kind of care? What are its qualities?
Sweet. Thank you, Kendall, for that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the care I talked about was this, this type of intimacy that is about vulnerability, interdependency, and presence, and that is evident in those more of these tiny everyday moments was more what I focused on. So care that is like sharing a dream, as in sharing food.
Yeah, I love it how you talk about the tiny everyday moments, because there may be tiny moment by moment, but they add up to be a huge part of life, and what life feels like. You know, the richness of life is made up of all the many moments. It's not those those sudden big decisions where we decide to move to another city or something. Like we do, they'll have those big moments, a number of times a lifetime. But those everyday moments, like sharing food, and cleaning together and going for walks, that these tiny moments you talk about are really part of the fabric of life and make life worth living, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally, Catherine. I really agree, and I think that dreams themselves are kind of moments like that, and then sharing dreams are also moments like that. So this way of caring, like, for our dreams, the people inside of dreams, and then the people we share our dreams with, is sharing this very, very human part of ourselves that,
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so I like the whole idea of care is like we caring for each other, and that one of the ways that we can care is by sharing this intimate part of who we are, the dreams, and as well as like all the other things that we do when we live together or see each other frequently. Yeah.
Totally.
So I'm also curious about this. This is a phrase I picked up, and I want to read it to you and see what you have to say about this. It came somewhere from your thesis, I suppose. I don't remember exactly where, but I'm just sitting with this. This is about the phrase dreamsense. Making dream sense means sitting with contradictions, resisting singular interpretations, embracing mutual transformation, and acknowledging the limits of language. Yeah. The whole thing of dream sense is like really kind of transcends sense. In some way, there's like maybe a letting go of sense. The dream sense is, could that be part of what you're getting at here? I mean, there's a beautiful series of features here.
Yeah, I actually called the thing Dreamsense because the thesis is entitled Dreamsense.
Oh yeah,
and yeah, thanks for picking out that quote, because I think that a lot of times, like what you were talking about dreams sort of define the waking logic and how it brings into question sort of the structures that we have in place. We talked a little bit about that before. So so dreams are often dismissed as nonsensical, or the ways that they work are like nonsensical sometimes.
I know.
And I think that the type of sense that they make, like this type of sense that is, at least as Stevenson talks about when you know, and that I think you mentioned you've experienced and I've experienced when you know someone and then it's someone else too.
Yep.
That type of, and most of the words in the dictionary, that type of sense that caters towards can open up different ways of thinking about relating that aren't as binary and aren't as strictly linear in constricting ways, but can be more expansive.
Well, one thing the word that pops up throughout the thesis is something that I'm not really super familiar with, but it's called the word otherwise.
Oh yeah. So to bring in another book is Sean Crowley's The Lonely Letters. I'd really recommend that. But a big part of that book is talking about otherwise possibilities, which is basically and otherwise is something that brings into that makes evident the other, that makes evident like the other ways of being in the world that sort of defy this capitalist colonial logic that can be really harmful and oppressive.
Absolutely.
And is like, ongoing. So, and then otherwise possibilities are when we take the limits of that and then transform them into loving. I can actually read how he defines otherwise possibilities if you'd like.
Sure. If it's easy for you to find, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's right here. He describes it as the practice of making alternatives here and now. Otherwise possibility is the attempt to make the alternatives resonate and be sensed and felt. Otherwise possibility is a living practice of making space and room to imagine and bring into existence different ways to engage, to care, to love, to contend with harm and violence. He is an incredible writer and human, so I'd really recommend that book.
Well, maybe you could send me the titles and the authors of these several books that you've mentioned, and I'll include them on the episode page, because these are books I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, of course. I'll definitely do that.
That'd be great.
So I kind of view dream sharing as, I view dreams as kind of an otherwise, and then dream sharing as an otherwise possibility, where that where the liminal qualities of dreams are put into practice, and we're showing care and love in a way that's that helps us both grow. I guess everyone involved.
Yeah, so I want to let folks know that the phones are open if anybody wants to call and ask Olivia a question or to share a dream. The number is 831-900-5773, and there's still a few minutes left for a call. Or you can send an email at onair, ONAIR, at ksqd.org. The phone number again, in case you were just running to get your pen, 831-900-5773. So Olivia, what do you want to be sure to talk about? I'm gonna make sure we don't miss anything that you have on your mind right now. Like, what's going on for you, or what is it you want to talk about?
Well, okay, I don't know if anyone's calling in, but I was getting my pen to write down that number because I've been having dreams lately, which is interesting because I during the whole time of this thesis, I hadn't really remembered my dreams too much.
Well, we actually do have a caller. It's funny you should say that. We just got a caller, so I
was going to ask you to find meaning in my dreams for me, but someone else can go.
Saved.
Cool.
Okay, so hello, caller. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, Catherine. This is Chris. I'm calling from Felton.
Oh, Chris, hi. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm really, really enjoying the show today. And I just love the idea of giving words to these common dream experiences that we have. It feels like it's going to really enhance the work that I do and that I do with you, Catherine, with my dreams. I'm just loving it.
Yeah, it's brilliant to really just put words to these very common and yet undefined features. Do you have some particular moments or dream things that you would like to see named, Chris?
Well, I had a dream last night, and I don't know if there's going to be a word for this because it's a very unusual experience, and I'd never had it before, where it was essentially a chronic unhappy dream that finally turned happy.
Ooh, yay!
So I have many dreams, I think we all do, where there's this frustration of not having the thing you need, or for me it's always looking for my purse or hunting through my wallet for just the thing that I need, and it's not there, and it's a very, the emotion in those dreams is just a lot of frustration or self-blame, and the dream is never resolved. Mm-hmm. But last night I had a dream where I needed to have my passport. Mm-hmm. I was with a group of close friends and family, unnamed in the dream, but just that sense that I was traveling with a group of people that I cared for. And I had to show this man my passport, and some official, and he said, it's not expired, but there was something wrong with it. But he was still being very friendly and very helpful, and in that moment I didn't panic. I was, I knew that in my wallet I had some other type of identification that would work. So I'm looking through my wallet, and I can't find the ID that I thought I had in there, but I still wasn't frustrated, and I went back to him, and we're having this really connected conversation where instead of acting like an official, he was acting like a friend. And he said, well, the only thing that's wrong with your passport is the part that's crossed off is your creativity.
Oh, Chris, wow.
That somehow it wasn't expired, but someone had said I just wasn't being creative enough. And that, he could work with that, and that I would still be able to go on the trip that I wanted. I just had to somehow show him evidence of my creativity, and everything would be okay.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. That's like, gee, I wonder what this could be hinting at. Could there
exactly, and it was so lovely because I woke up with this totally different feeling of, here's someone who's going to be supportive and help me find what I need to find, and that it's going to be okay, and I'm going to get to go where I need to go. It was so different than my other hunting through my wallet dreams. It was great.
And even this one thing that the creativity is crossed out is not a problem. He's like, well, we can work with this.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
I vote for that to be a word for the next generation of the dictionary, because I had similar things just recently too, in fact, of the running down the airport plane dreams finally resolved, where I decided to let the airplane go. And I'm like, like this is like to have these kind of anxiety dreams have a resolution is such a gift.
Yes, yeah. So I love that. There's got to be a word for that too that can be in the next dictionary.
What about you,
Yes,
Olivia?
that's so relatable. Totally. I feel that. I love what you said about chronically unhappy dream that turns happy or something. That's okay. That's a great definition. What word would you put to that? What does that sound like? You have any ideas?
What do you think, Chris?
Wow, it's a real feeling of relief and almost excitement. It's something so changed, something transformed and changed, and like there's this, like when you're looking for directions, and all of a sudden you realize there's a shorter way to get there that's opening for you that wasn't there before.
Wow,
So,
maybe like
I don't know. I'm not the wordsmith.
Ooh, relitement, huh?
Because it's like relaxed excitement.
I love it.
Okay, I'll put it in the dictionary.
There it is. You heard it here first on the Dream Journal.
That's a great one. Love that.
Thank you, Chris. That's so exciting.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, that's just a great example of some very common dream experience that just doesn't really have a name until now.
Yeah, that's how it's done.
That's how it's done. Do you have any like principles about how you choose the words? Or is it like about that it sounds like, or is it about the sounds, or the Greek and Latin roots, or what is your strategy about naming things, naming the words?
Well, I like how Chris just described these feelings that they felt when they in the dream. So I just combined the sounds of those different feelings that stood out to me. But a lot of times it is about it's like free association. Like I'll try to describe the experience and then be like, okay, this sounds like it would have an S in it. And then it just like comes. But sometimes my friends will help me with sounds too. They'll just shout some out like, oh, it sounds like this.
Yeah.
Which is really cool collaboration. I love that part of the dictionary.
I'm just thinking how I could use that phrase as like that annoying airport dream finally relighted. like that.
Yeah, totally.
I can see it's a great concept too, because then once it's a word that exists, then it's something that you can kind of hope for, instead of like, oh no, that same dream. Like there's people. I mean, it can be really, some of these examples are annoying and frustrating, but it can be downright terrifying. Some of the recurring dreams that people have. And to have the idea of hope that these things can finally relight would be like something that we could hold like, okay, maybe tonight is the night when the dream will relight. And so I don't have to, be afraid to go to sleep. So there's people who have such horrible dreams that they don't want to sleep. And it becomes this self-perpetuating cycle when you're sleep deprived, and then you have nightmares because you're sleep deprived.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh, I love how you just used that in a perfect example definition. That was awesome. Just gotta write that down.
Oh yeah, well it's such a natural thing. Like, and this once, like I've actually been thinking about words as well, like schadenfreude, especially around emotions, and hygge, this Danish word for kind of comforting situation that came through my consciousness, and been reading Lisa Feldman Barrett's book, How Emotions Are Made, and how that by defining a new emotion that we actually start to recognize the emotion, and we can see it and kind of welcome it in as part of our vocabulary. And I would love to expand the vocabulary around dreams.
Yes, there is so much power in a name and in a label, and I was a little worried that it would be almost restrictive, because I think part of the cool thing about dreams is that their type of sense making, or their dream sense maybe, is like so expansive that it can't be contained by the logic of language. But so I was a little worried that it would constrict sort of these like magical things that happen. But I think that it can feel very empowering to have a label and a name for something, and like what you said, you can notice these different types of patterns occur, and maybe have a different perspective on a dream that might not feel so good, but you have this feeling of at least being able to name that, and then maybe other people also have that, and that feels good too.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's I think it's really a very, very cool idea, very empowering idea about how we can relate to our dreams. So, Olivia, we're getting close to the top of the hour. We have a few more minutes. I wonder if there's anything that you'd like to, well, I guess before we go there, how can folks get in touch with you? Because you have some really interesting ideas, and I wonder if you'd be comfortable sharing. Do you have a webpage or email address that you're okay to share on the air? But,
Totally. My it's actually all the same. My website is www.oliviashiller.com. It's my name. My name's spelled Shiller. There's no C in there.
Okay.
Common misconception. And my email's olivia.schiller, Shiller, @gmail.com.
Okay, fabulous. And I have kind of a two-part question. One is like, what's next for you? And then number two is like, what words of encouragement do you want to give our listeners? Or
wow, okay, what's next for me?
Breaking all the rules of interviewing, asking two questions at once, but here we go.
No, it's good. It's good. The first one, I've been really enjoying my dreams lately. I've been exploring them more in terms of content because I think so much of me was focused on like trying to not focus on content, and now I'm just like, why was I turning that part off? Like let's enjoy this. All of the feelings that take place in dreams. So that's something that I'm looking forward to personally. I'm looking forward to reading more books about dreams and in general. And then the second question, some words of encouragement.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams.
Yeah, follow your dreams.
Right.
I like that. What
Yep.
else? There's more, I can tell.
And if anyone has any dream-related experiences, I do have the dictionary up on the website. There's also a Spotify playlist that I made about, these aren't really words of encouragement, I'm just...
Oh, good. No, the Spotify list is perfect, and I'm glad the dictionary is available for listeners to look up.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
totally. So I was going to say, if anyone has any types of experiences like Chris did, then we can make some words for them and add them right on if you want to shoot me an email. But
Excellent.
the Spotify playlist is also collaborative, so you can add to that. It's songs about dreams or that reference dreams in the name or in the lyrics somehow. So there's an ongoing list of that has been collaboratively made with a bunch of people. So if anyone wants to add to that, it's called Dreams, but I'll put the link on my website. I haven't done that yet, but I'll do that.
Fabulous.
But yeah, thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Olivia. It's so great to have you on the show. Olivia Shiller.
Thank you, Catherine.
All right, well, take care, and let's be in touch.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, thanks. Okay, so next week, I lost track of everything. I'm so enjoying the conversation. There it is. Next week, we will have on our fabulous local psychotherapist, Linda Mastrangelo, who specializes in bereavement and dream work. We'll be talking with her about her experiences with sacred sites, ancestral lands, and the power of place. Listen live Saturday at 10, or catch the podcast replay, which, as usual, will be released on Monday following the show.
Stars fading, but I linger on, dear. Still great.
I am Catherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out more about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com, and you can email me at catherine@ksquid.org. That's KATHERINE at ksqd.org. If you have a dream you are curious about, please contact me so I can sign you up for a free introductory dream consultation. If you like this show, do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or tell a friend how much you are enjoying the show. I'd also like to thank my program assistant. Today was Eric Nelson. Thanks so much for coming in. And our ever-creative musician, Rick Kleffel, who created today, Pulse Fiction. And our new team member, Carol Milady, who is helping me with my social media posting. Thank you so much, Carol. And thank you to all the fabulous donors who support this station. We are 100% listener-supported, so you can contribute at ksqd.org. And be sure to tell them that you are a Dream Journal listener. When you wake up tomorrow morning, take a minute to look within. Do you remember a dream? Write it down and bring it to the next Dream Journal. I am Catherine Bell, and you are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz.
Leave tomorrow.